Why is it that some guys can quit drinking and never look back? Whereas for most guys, they can manage 1-2 weeks and then end up right back where they were before. Well, it's because most guys have absolutely no idea of what's actually coming. So when it gets hard, they quit. But if you can make it to just 90 days sober, I truly believe that you can get off it for life and start experiencing all of the life-changing benefits that will happen in your life. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the exact 90-day timeline of exactly what it's like and what will happen when you finally quit alcohol for good. Now, if we haven't met, my name's Marley and I started drinking at just 13 years old. I suffered with a lot of anxiety, low confidence issues, and found it almost impossible to quit. So now I'm over 3.5 years sober and have completely changed my life. And I wanted to make this video to walk you through how you can get the same kind of results. I've actually put together a full 30-day breakdown that's going to walk you through every single step along the way that you can expect when you're looking to get healthy and start feeling like yourself again. So if you want to grab that, it'll be the second link in the description. Right, so let's walk you through exactly what you can expect over the first 90 days of when you give up alcohol. Right, so let's start with the first few days. Now, in the first few days is probably when you're most likely to not actually want to drink. So for most people, they will quit drinking on a Monday, the day after a rough weekend. So whether it was a big binge on Saturday night and then you've been lied on the sofa, absolutely comatose for the last 24 hours on Sunday, from a typical Monday to Wednesday is going to be pretty much a breeze. And I'm sure you know what it's like to still feel shit 2, 3, even 4, 5 days after drinking. This is because there's actually a toxin that alcohol releases into your body that's 30 times more harmful than alcohol itself. So for the following 4 to 5 days, your body's actually trying to process these toxins out of your body, which is why you still feel shit for days and days after. Now, for me, this is going to sound absolutely peak fuckboy, but I'd just been on a 5-day bender in Ibiza. Yeah, I know. So I set the intention to just make it to 30 days. Now, I'd never actually managed to make it to 30 days before. I'd never done the dry Januaries or the sober Octobers or anything like that. So coming out of this, Ibiza trip, I'd never been so motivated to not even see a bottle of alcohol. Now, I was never great with the hangovers, I won't lie. So I had this idea that, if I don't drink, I won't have to suffer a hangover for a month. And that meant to me 10 days, 15 days without any single sort of hangover symptoms. So over the first few days, you can pretty much just expect a lot of detoxification in your body, just a lot of processes trying to get the alcohol out. And this will drain a lot of your energy. You'll feel tired, you'll feel sluggish. But at the same time, it's by far the easiest part of that first 90 days because you've got absolutely zero intention to even smell a drink. So now let's broaden this into the first week. The things that you'll probably notice are mostly positives. So it's going to be things like your mood is going to be much better. You're going to have, a higher baseline happiness. Your energy will be up and you'll generally start to feel better. Now, a lot of this actually comes from the body not having to detoxify and be dealing with the alcohol. So we'll call it day 5, 6, 7, 8, the end of week 1, your body will be pretty cleaned out of the alcohol. So now your body can start to actually put back the processes and, use its energy. So things like your heart rate will actually come down, your blood pressure will lower, and you will actually feel more relaxed. So your cortisol, your stress levels will reduce. And you will also notice that hopefully your sleep might start to improve a little bit. So alcohol is one of the biggest causes of not sleeping well because alcohol actually causes a lot of micro wake-ups through the night. So this could be up to hundreds of times throughout a period of sleep where alcohol has woken you up and then you've come back to sleep without you really actually becoming conscious. And this actually is something I dealt with, I'd say, for at least 6 weeks after I first quit, because you would think that when you quit alcohol that you would actually start sleeping like a baby. But for me, it was actually from such a long build up and the tolerance to alcohol that you start getting the withdrawal symptoms, and sleep actually took a big hit for me. And this actually comes down to the brain. So the brain's a fucking clever little cookie, and it will start to adapt to how to perform still with having a alcohol-induced bloodstream and, in your brain as well. So when you fully come off alcohol, your brain is a little disorientated and it will start to struggle, because through your sleep is when you've got your most regenerative processes. It's when your body actually heals itself. Alcohol actually is very damaging to the brain. So it will destroy brain cells and neurons. These take a long time to come back, especially after you've been drinking for a long time. But once you do, then you will start to notice a lot better brain clarity. You will feel more switched on. You'll be sharper to the point. You'll be able to think deep and long about things that would frazzle your brain before. So you will definitely notice after that week 1, a slow but steady progress over the next several months of your brain just starting to work and feel a little bit better. Because alcohol does actually thin your brain. You've got the white and grey matter around your neocortex, which is a core part of your brain that alcohol is constantly thinning and thinning. So your brain is actually shrinking. So when you actually stop, it's going to take a long time, but your brain will start to regrow this matter and expand again. But as I said, some of the neurons, if you've been drinking for a long time, could be permanently damaged. So now on to week 2. So week 2 is what I would say the best mental clarity boost and energy boost that you will experience along the whole timeline. Now, this is why most people, when they do a dry January or some sort of period of abstinence, is that they will get to week 2 and tell you how good they feel. Yet somehow by the time they've hit week 4 or 5, when you see them next, they've completely given it up. So during week 2 is when you will start to actually get a lot of masculine boost through things like your testosterone, your strength, your aggression, and you will start to feel more like the person you want to be. Now, I remember in the second week, I was super focused on creating a training plan for the next 7-8 weeks that I could stick to. So I set this goal, I set this intention, and things were so much easier. I noticed that within 2 sessions that all my strength started to come back that I'd lost over the cut. And I think this coincides with an increase in your testosterone and your hormones starting to improve again. So there's a lot of studies around this, but depending on which alcohols, it can definitely increase estrogen in a male body and actually damage some of the other hormones and keep them sort of subdued. So when you actually come off alcohol, it will take I'd say a good 2 to 3 weeks for you to start to really notice this effect. But there is definitely a hormone increase and a growth hormone increase that alcohol is known to crush when you're drinking. So when you stop, these floodgates open again and you will feel a lot more stronger. You'll feel more energetic, more driven, and just generally have that masculine passion and drive. Now into week 3 is where most guys' dreams come to die. I'd say from days 14, 15 up to 25 is by far and large the most difficult time in the whole duration of getting sober. Now, I don't know why this is, but there's definitely some sort of big shift that happens from week 2 into week 3. And I think you just miss having a fucking drink. So when you get to the end of the 3rd week is when you've gone through, 3 weeks of whatever's gone on in your life. And it's that Friday, Saturday night at the end of week 3 that you have to watch out for. So this is the time where you really have to lock in and focus. And I'd say if you can get into week 4, week 5, things become so much easier, and the actual benefits you start to notice when you go into month 2 actually makes week 3 laughable once you get there, because you realize that how far you'd came. It's like that meme of the guy mining the diamonds who gets so close and then he just gives up. I'd say another point around week 3 is probably when you actually come back to some sort of social event. So when most people quit, they will pretty much cocoon themselves. This is how I did it. I just didn't go out at all. But for a lot of people, this is the first time they will have to deal with drunk people when sober. They will have to socialize without having any alcohol. Now, I'd love to say that you should just go out anyway, but at week 3, I'd say there's no worse time for you to go out socializing. So what I would do is the only social things I would do was completely non-drinking events. So whether that's going out with your partner or going somewhere with your kids or just going to the gym, going for a spa day, anything that doesn't revolve around alcohol. So I would strictly stay away from eating out or going to the bars. Now, for me, I'd literally get on the drinks anywhere. So I just had to completely write it out for the next, I'd say maybe 6 weeks. But for you, it will depend on if you can handle the social pressures and dealing with drunk people and stuff. But for me, you should just completely avoid any socials for the first month. Now, I'd say there's one positive of if you do end up at a social event, you will start to look around at people who are drunk and think, fuck, was that me? You start to question yourself. You start to look at everything you've done, all the nights out, all the drunken moments. You start to see yourself in a really bad light and think, I don't want to be this person. Because when you're drinking with everyone else, you can be as daft and stupid as you want, and it doesn't actually register because alcohol lowers our inhibitions, which makes us not really give a fuck about anything. But if you go out sober, then there is truth that people will say if you're sober, you are boring, because you will be aware of stuff. You will know what's right and wrong. You will know when people are doing something stupid. And a lot of times for people when they drink, they just want to get out of their actual life and be a fucking idiot. Now, I'm not one to judge. If people are out and having a good time, I'm having a good time as well. And I can be fucking as stupid as I come without a drink. But it's the people who are, sloppy drunk, who are obnoxious, who are being rude to people or really getting in people's faces. You start to think, what the fuck is this drug that everyone's on? And why are we so accepting of this? So now on to what I'm going to group as weeks 4 to 7. So this is the period where you will start to really notice changes in yourself that you've never noticed before, especially if you've been drinking for a long time. So up until week 3, week 4, you will pretty much just be dealing with withdrawals, getting used to having, a little bit raised anxiety again. Your body starts to process things and just going back to your normal sort of 6 out of 10 life. So once I hit the 30-day mark, it didn't really do anything. I wasn't like, yes, fucking 30 days, let's have a drink. I just felt like, well, I feel good, but could I feel better? So I started to sort of hypothesize like where things were at. My training was a lot better. So as I said, I'd been doing this new training plan. My progress had been actually pretty consistent. So every single week I'd been making, quality progress that I hadn't in months. And in the actual social and energy side, I just felt a lot better. So what I started to do is I just started to expose myself here and there. So I'd put myself, if my friends were out at the bar, I'd just drop in sort of at, like 7 o'clock and I'd just go have a drink, obviously just a soft drink or whatever, just go for an hour and then pull myself out and just see how I felt. I'd start to do these little strategic things. So, I'd start to just speak to women a little bit more at the gym or, in the supermarkets and just see how I felt. And the confidence was slowly building. I noticed in myself as well, I had just much more innate confidence in my articulation, my thoughts, my humor, everything that you sort of associate with why you want to drink. But as I said, if you actually look at drunk people, they're just sloppy, obnoxious fucking messes. When you actually go for a period sober and start to really focus on your self improvement, then you actually get like all the benefits that alcohol promised in sobriety, which for me was probably the biggest revelation when I hit sort of that 6 week mark, is when I was like, there's just no way that I want to give up these benefits now. And as soon as I had that realization, it just clicked for me. So in the 4 to 6, 7, 8 weeks period is when you'll really start to question, am I really doing this? Have I really actually gone sober? Because it's all good and well watching, some sober guy doing a YouTube video and thinking, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then you start actually, you hit week 2, you hit week 3, you get past it, and now you're into month 2. But your friends will start to say, come on, mate, like, can you give this up? Or, you will have to go out for a date or a birthday or an anniversary. And you'll be there like, am I really just not going to have a wine tonight? Am I really just going to go out with the boys and just sit there and have a Diet Coke? Because it's in these moments that you really question, am I doing this for life? Do I really want these benefits? Or am I just doing this to give myself a little breather and I'm just going to fall back into where I was? When I hit that week 6 mark, I never ever looked back because I felt so good in myself. My sleep was finally so much better. I stopped getting the withdrawals. My energy was up. My physique was improving. My confidence was better. My anxiety was absolutely plummeting. And this was the first time in my life that my anxiety wasn't there through the day. And this was such a major turning point for me. And even though I wanted to, it's not socially acceptable to drink through the day. So if you're someone like me who was using alcohol to deal with anxiety, you still had to deal with feeling like this from the moment you wake at, 7, 8, 9 o'clock, all the way till you crack a drink at, 4, 5, 6 p.m., which is the most important hours of the day. This is when you're dealing with stress. This is when you're doing your work presentations. This is when a lot of your life actually happens. And drinking is just the time to relax and get away from everything. So this was absolutely life-changing to have reduced anxiety through the day. And it was around this 5, 6 week mark that this actually happened. And I didn't believe it at first. I thought it was just some sort of coincidence and it would go back. But I waited days and days and days, and my confidence, my energy, my just presence overall just grew every day, and I started to feel better in myself. And then going into around weeks 6 to 7 is the first time I thought I could actually go out sober. And this took me from a place where I felt a complete outsider, I felt like a loner from society, to now realizing I've got an absolute superpower that I can go out sober and actually have just as good a time without drinking. And it just changed everything, thinking that I was going to be alone for life, that I was going to have to find new friends, people weren't going to accept me. But actually giving, my quote unquote best self, that's actually my best self, not the drunk, obnoxious, spiteful kind of, sloppy, drunk version of me that in your head is the fucking bollocks. But the actual one that's, charming, that's funny, that's kind, that's everything that you want to be. You've got it all there in abundance in yourself. It just takes that self-acceptance at first, but then just really realizing like, oh shit, I've got this inside of me and I had it all along. And it was that moment where I thought, why the fuck would I ever need a drink again? Now, on to month 4, which is what I call the final break. So from day 0 right up to the end of month 3, you still look at a drink and you think, you start, the taste buds start going, you think, I could have a drink right now. And you're looking at it because of the force of habit. You're thinking, I won't mind that right now. And even if you don't want it, even if you're completely happy sober, you still won't mind the drink as well. But when you pass the 4th month is when you fully detach yourself from the booze. So for me, when I hit month 4 was an absolute, this was the make or break time for me. So it was around Christmas time, how this fell. And I had no idea whether I was going to drink or not on Christmas Day. Now, years before, I drank, pretty much from the 15th every day up until New Year. This time, I hadn't drank on any day. I went out on a works do sober and I just went for a couple of hours and I felt really good actually. Now, coming up to Christmas Day, this seemed like a celebratory time. So if there was ever going to be a day that I was going to have a drink, it would be on Christmas. And I actually went and bought a bottle of rum because I thought that I probably will have a drink. It's Christmas. Why not? You can just have a day and then get back to it. And it gets to about 1, 2 o'clock and someone says, you having a drink then? And I thought, well, yeah, go on then. So I poured myself a nice rum and coke, popped it down, and I'm just looking at it. And I'm like, I don't even want it. Like, I've got zero want for this at all. So I popped it down and I was like, I'm done. I'm literally like, I'm cured. Like, what I thought was the impossible, to never be able to get off the alcohol, within just 4 months, I'd lost all dependency, all relation to it, and it just became another drug. So I was looking at a drug in my hand that I didn't want. And so I realized if anyone can get to just 4 months, that they will not even register with wanting a drink. And this becomes so much easier to digest than thinking that, if I quit alcohol, I have to quit for life. Because the truth is that every single month, every single year feels the same after month 4. So if you can just get to this point and feel the benefits, that you will notice how your physique changes, how your inflammation improves, how your body starts to digest food, how your mood improves, how your confidence is better, how you've just got so much more mental clarity, how you've got ambition, drive, your hormones are improving. I could go on and on. This all starts to happen within the first few months. And then once you reach months 4 to 5, it's literally like you've never even drank. And if you want help getting to this point, this is one of the core foundations inside my coaching program, Limitless. So we go through step by step of every single point that you need to tick off to start feeling and looking incredible again. So we work with you on your morning systems, we work with your training systems, we get your diet dialed in, and then we actually help you start to live and recognize and start to enjoy life without needing, the crux to alcohol and reliance on it. So if you want to see how I can help you, just click the first link in the description. Now, going from 0 to that first 90 days is nothing short of life-changing, but it actually all starts with how you set up your mornings. So click this video here where I'll take you through the exact morning system that I've used to start waking up feeling naturally energized and start jumping out of bed. I ain't jumping anything. RDLs have done me over.